Good morning or afternoon, everyone. This is Stuart Blumenthal with ETHOSystems, and today we're going to be doing a really cool product called Velixo, and showing you how this works with Sage Intacct. And what it's really designed to do is take your Excel and link it real time to Intacct. It's funny, I've seen this product with another publisher, working with another publisher before, and it was funny that I was thinking about how awesome this tool would be, and then about a day later, I get a message from Gabriel, who's one of the key people over there at Velixo, and announcing that they are going through, they're releasing the product. And again, this has really been helpful to a lot of clients who just think Excel is the best reporting tool out there. So just a couple things before I turn it over to the Velixo team. First of all, the presentation it's going to be about 30 minutes. All the phone lines are muted during this time. If you have any questions, please use the questions feature within the chat. I'll be monitoring that and interrupting them with questions along the way. And if you want to copy the PowerPoint when you're done, please let me know. Just put your email address in the chat and I'll make sure that it's sent out to you. Couple other things that are important. Sage 2023 R3 will be released this Friday. It's usually done around 8 p.m. Pacific time, so it will be kicking you off at that point in the evening. Just keep that in mind. This release is really cool because it's got the start of the vendor compliance features that we've been working with Sage on behind the scenes. So this is going to be a great release. For those in the construction, especially who need vendor compliance. So with that, there's a couple upcoming webinars. Today's obviously is the Velixo. On Thursday, we've got the accounts payable and general ledger tips and tricks. This one is actually a pretty full session. So if you signed up, please make sure you do. We're getting close to our capacity number on this webinar. And then the following week, next Thursday, we'll be going over the R3 release. If you don't have the link, let me know. I'll be happy to send them to you, but you probably have it anyway because you've got the webinar from this morning, or you got the link from this one. So with that, I am going to actually make, Duffy, I'm going to make you the presenter at this point here. So I'm going to make you the presenter, and this way you can take it forward from here.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. I believe I can share my screen. Stu, can you confirm? Yeah.
Yep,
visible?
We can see it. Yep.
Fantastic. So very nice to meet everyone today. Very much looking forward to showcasing and highlighting our Excel-based reporting solution. Before we get started, what is Velixo? Put simply, it's an Excel-based tool that will allow you to extract all your data from Sage Intacct and really bring it to life within Excel. And also today, what you will see is that you also have that ability to push your data back from Excel directly into your ERP. Now, a little bit about Velixo. We've been around for just over 6 years, and in a very short period of time, we've grown to thousands of customers in various countries. You'll see from the map below there. But customers are utilizing us for their project reporting needs, financial reporting needs, and operational needs right now. On the call today, we also have our founder, Gabriel Michaud. Pavel Kabir is our CTO at Velixo. And I can't emphasize, and I won't toot his horn too much, but really he is the architect of the solution. And this really came out of the sheer need of customers wanting to manipulate their reports the way they saw fit. A lot of customers historically have clicked on that infamous export to Excel icon. But when you click on that, your data is no longer live. You constantly have to build these reports over and over again. That was one of the core foundations on why and how we created Velixo. Now, you'll see here a few statistics that gives you a little bit more insight to the reasoning why Excel matters and Excel is not going away. One that I found really valuable from my perspective is that if you take a look at the bottom left, it says that over 80% of customers who try leaving Excel and using another tool end up coming back to Excel because it gives you that flexibility at the end of the day. And you don't have to learn something new, educate individuals on there, and it doesn't produce the same type of reports that you would be looking for. With Velixo, what will you receive? Number one, we are an Excel add-in. So if you're using Windows, if you're using Mac, if you're using desktop versions or online versions, we will be fully supported with Velixo. We also provide real-time reporting that's refreshable at the click of a button. Outside of that, you'll have that drill down capability directly within Excel. So you'll be able to click on any cell within any one of your spreadsheets and go to that original batch directly from Excel into Sage Intacct in a matter of clicks. I find this important, but it really is important for those of you who are building reports that you'll have pixel perfect formatting. And again, we're fully integrated with Microsoft Excel. Now, what will this allow you to do? Number one, make decisions a lot quicker, save on building those manual reports on a regular basis, and becoming more efficient with your time. Those three pillars are what drives Velixo customers to be successful within their own business. Outside of that, of course, you can have and slice and dice these reports the way you need. But when I emphasize the learning curve is really zero, I can't emphasize that enough. Your ability with Velixo will be based on your understanding of Excel. So if you already know Excel, you already know Velixo. And then again, that efficiency that you're going to be able to obtain. Now, the last item I do want to mention is the fact that we are aligned with Sage Intacct's permission rights. So whatever you have set up in terms of necessary permissions for those individual users in Sage will be completely mirrored when they will be using Velixo. So if a member on your team, let's say, doesn't have access to budget-related screens, if they're trying to use Velixo, they will be restricted from utilizing those screens itself. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Gabriel, who will go through a walk, give you a little bit more of a flavor of Velixo. He'll start off with the simple trial balance, go a little bit deeper into some of the core foundational functions that Velixo has, and then we'll touch on some sample pack reports that we are sure will be relevant to your team. And I can't emphasize this enough. The sample report packs that he's emphasizing, you already have access to them. They're free of charge and they're available on her website. So with that being said, I will leave the floor to Gabriel.
Thank you, Duffy. Stuart, or actually Duffy, can you make me presenter?
I am doing that right now. Sorry.
Thank you.
Make presenter. Yes. Awesome. Done.
Perfect. Oh, actually, technical setting. I will need to restart GoToWebinar. That's a permission issue. I apologize. Let me just disconnect and reconnect. I'll be there in a second.
Perfect.
While he is connecting and disconnecting, if there's any questions anyone has, please feel free to put them into the questions box in the system. Don't think there's any questions right this second here. The joys of GoToWebinar, there he is. Let me make him a presenter.
Thank you.
And
show my screen. Perfect. Can you see my screen now?
We can.
Great. Okay, so yeah, today I'm presenting from my Mac, and on Mac OS you have this very strict security restriction around screen sharing. If it's not enabled, you need to shut down the app, and that was the first time I was presenting using that particular GoToWebinar product. So it's why I had to disconnect. My apologies. Now I'm all set. I'm ready to get started and give you a full walkthrough of the Velixo solution. As I was mentioning just a few seconds ago, I will be presenting from my Mac. Velixo runs on all the supported Office platforms, so that includes obviously Excel for Windows, Excel for Mac, but also Excel Online. So more and more people are using Excel from the browser, and Velixo works perfectly well with that. What you can see right now on my screen is a blank spreadsheet. We're going to start from scratch and build the most simple report that we can using the solution. And you will see it's very, very easy to do using Velixo. Once you have Velixo installed on your machine, you will see the Velixo toolbar as part of your Microsoft Excel ribbon. So you can see here, I just clicked on Velixo. This shows me some of the icons and options that are available within the product. We will walk you through the different options, but for now, let's start by connecting our spreadsheet or linking our spreadsheet to our Sage Intacct environment. And I do that by clicking Connection Manager, and then by adding a connection to my Sage Intacct system. So it's very, very easy. All I need to enter is my Sage Intacct company ID and my Sage Intacct credentials. So effectively, I'm entering the exact same information that I enter in the web browser when I try to connect to Sage Intacct. And this is actually very important because by using the same credentials, I will also be ensuring that I have access to the same stuff that is available to me in Sage Intacct. If you have multiple locations in Intacct and some of your users are only allowed to work in a specific location, let's say I have people in South Africa or the UK, and they should only have access to that, well, that will be the same thing inside Excel. And the same goes with all the different aspects and functionality in Sage Intacct. Permissions are managed in Sage Intacct, and when you log in from Excel, you use the same credentials and you do get access to the same information that you have access to in Sage Intacct. So actually, you can see that I did not enter the right password, so the system did not let me through, and I just figured out why. There's a slight typo. So let's connect here. Again, I'm a bit nervous today, so maybe that explains it. Yes, here we go. Okay, so my password is actually quite simple, but I put an extra letter on both occasions. So now you can see we have that green check mark. We're connected, we're good to go. Once again, this is a brand new spreadsheet, but the beauty of Excel is that, and the beauty of Velixo is that you can also add this connection to your existing spreadsheets. So I'm sure everyone on this call is using Excel today. You probably have like those manual spreadsheets that you need to update manually every time. Well, you can take those manual spreadsheets, add the connection to Sage Intacct, and benefit from the different functionality that I will be showing you today. So let's build together a simple report that will be showing us account balances, 3 columns, code, name, balance. So something very simple. In column A, I will list all my account codes, column B, the account name, and column C, the current balance, formatted in dollars. So let's go ahead and insert our list of accounts in column A. Actually, this is a spreadsheet, so someone could very well type the accounts manually. But again, that defeats the purpose of a tool like Velixo. So instead of doing that manually, the old-fashioned way, I will go to the Velixo toolbar and click Insert Chart of Accounts. And within a few seconds, you will see a list of all my Sage Intacct accounts. So that's the same set of accounts we have in Intacct. This is live, this is real time, and actually, let me scroll down to the bottom. Like, we also see statistical accounts. You can pull data from your statistical accounts just as well using this solution. This is a dynamic list. So in Intacct, if you make any changes to your chart of accounts and then refresh this report using the refresh button, you will see your new and updated accounts in the workbook. So you don't need to do this process manually all the time. Once you have your report template built, the system will refresh, it will show up new accounts. If you renumbered or deleted something, it will also disappear from the report. And the reason this is dynamic is because we rely on a special Excel function. This function can be seen here in the first cell. If I double click, you will see that there's a function called SI for Sage Intacct, expand account range. So this is the function that gives us the list of accounts. And this function was inserted for us when I clicked that Insert Chart of Accounts button. Okay, functions are central to the way Velixo works, and over the next few minutes, I will walk you through some of the key functions that you will be using in Velixo. And let's continue with the account name. So let's say that I want to get the account name from Sage Intacct. I can simply type equal name, and Excel will show me a list of all the functions that contain the word name. And I'll see this one, SI, Sage Intacct, dot account name. And I can simply type this function like I would type any Excel function. It's very simple in this case. It's just my connection name and my account code in column A, like that. And I just press enter. So very easy, and right away you can see the names of all the accounts. Just like any other Excel function, when you're typing the function, you can click the hyperlink if you want to see the documentation. So in this case, for account name, I could have clicked, and this would show me the Velixo website with documentation on the account name function. Again, it's very simple. It just returns the name of the account, and you can see screenshots and examples of how it works. Another way of discovering and seeing all the available functions is by using the insert function button in Excel, and this is what we're going to use next to retrieve the current balance from Sage Intacct. And before I do that, I just want to add a few cells right here above my column to be able to control the date range and the location that we're going to look at. So let's start with location 100. And for the dates, we'll look at, let's say, December 2019. And let's just change the format to month, day, year. Here we go. Okay, so let's use the insert function button. This is something that new users especially like, because it lets you see a list of all the available functions, and it also walks you through the different arguments and parameters of that function. I just click that insert function button. On my Mac, it opens on the right hand side. If you're on Windows, you would see a big window, front and center, but it effectively does the same thing. So let's look for Sage Intacct function, SI, and then let's use the keyboard to scroll through, just using the arrows to move through all the different functions. You can see that we have a description and information on all the arguments. So in my case, actually, I'm just going to use SI closing balance. That was one of the first ones. And let's click insert. So you see, it's very, very easy, and that's the entire point of Velixo. It uses Excel. Excel is a product that is very, very familiar to pretty much every business user in the world. According to Microsoft, there's about 1 billion active Microsoft users in the world. So something like what I'm doing right now should be very, very familiar to every Excel user. So with the documentation that you see on the side panel, you will see that it's very easy to build this function and actually provide all the inputs that are needed, such as the account code, the start date. So it says start date here, couldn't be simpler, end date, and then location. Okay, so that's all you need to do to get the balance of an account as of a specific date for a specific location. The function does a lot more. You can filter on dimensions. You can work with different books, user-defined books, adjustment books. But this is all optional. Like the most basic thing that you can do is what I'm doing now. Just retrieve the balance as of a specific date for a specific account. That's all you need. So let's just click done, and you'll see Excel calculating. And once we have the balance, I can just drag this down, and we'll see the same calculation, but for all the accounts that we have in this system. That was easy, right? Once again, as you're building these functions, you can always use the help link. So if you're using the insert function panel, you have the hyperlink here. Once again, that takes you to our website, where you'll find very, very rich, very detailed information on the function, as well as examples of how to use this function within your spreadsheet. So let's go back to the workbook. Now that we have this built, I can pretty much simply save the file and share it with anyone in the organization with a Sage Intacct login. And as long as they have valid credentials, they will be able to open the file and click the refresh button to see the latest, most up-to-date information. Velixo directly connects to Sage Intacct, so there's no data warehouse, there's no synchronization process or like sync process that needs to be done. This information is absolutely live and refreshed on the fly. Okay. Another benefit of Excel is that once you have the formulas in your workbook, you become effectively able to change, let's say, the location, press enter, and see the information and see this change reflected in the workbook instantly. So 100, 200, it's that easy. And the reason Excel recalculates is the same reason Excel will recalculate when you change any of the values and you have a sum. So let's say I'm summing up 3 cells here. If I change this number here and that number, you can see that Excel recalculates my sum. Well, that's the exact same thing here when I change the location, or if I change the date, Excel knows that it has to recalculate all the values. Let me show you another example. Let's say you want to look at 2 locations side by side, or even let's say 3 locations side by side. Well, you can copy paste the column, just change the location ID, and Excel will retrieve the balances for all 3 locations that you have listed. Calculations are also possible. So let's say you want to have a consolidated total. You could do that very easily. Just add C plus D plus E here. Let's copy that down. And boom, you can see that this has been calculated. So we're using very simple Excel formulas. We have access to all the functionality in Excel, and we can work with live data coming from your Sage Intacct system. I could also do the same thing like current year versus last year. So let's do one more example here. So let's do 2019 versus 2018. Here we go. And do variance, actuals versus budget. So sky's the limit. Actually the only limit is your imagination. If you can think it and you can put it in the spreadsheet, Velixo for Sage Intacct will calculate the value for you. Before I move on to my next example, I just want to highlight that you also have the ability to group together multiple locations, multiple accounts, multiple values of any dimension. So let's say, for example, that you want to add up a few accounts together. Well, you can do that. You just put semicolon and you just list all the different accounts that you want to include. And then the same formula will smartly calculate and add up all 4 accounts that I listed. So let me prove that to you. I will highlight the 4 rows, and you can see here the sum matches the sum that we have in C7. You can do the same thing with a column. So that's a range specifier. So from to another account, you can use the question mark as a wildcard. So every account that starts with 1, and you could do also a subtraction or exclusion. So let's say you want everything that starts with 1, but not that account here. You just put minus, and the system will once again update. You can see everything is very fast. That's super important to us in terms of the user experience that we want to deliver to our users. We want the functions to recalculate instantly or as quickly as possible when you change any value in your spreadsheet. Now that you understand the basics, let me switch to a second example that will let me highlight additional capabilities in the solution. So the workbook that I just opened right now is a full financial reporting package. This one is on the Velixo website, and it can be downloaded free of charge. That's at l.velixo.com. This is the website we were looking at earlier. So there's a section with example reports here that you can look at. And this file is one of the many sample reports that we include on our website. And this one is nice because it highlights many of the capabilities that you find in Excel and that you are maybe using today in your own spreadsheets. And as you see in my next demo, like all the Excel functionality works really well with Velixo because Velixo is effectively Excel. It runs inside Excel. Let's say, for example, that in this P&L, you want to have a pie chart that looks at all your expenses. Well, you could do that very simply by selecting all your expenses, clicking Insert, and selecting the pie chart. So now that you have this pie chart in your workbook, this pie chart will update whenever you click the refresh button. If you change the location, or if you filter by department. Okay, so departments, this is one of my dimensions, but let's say I just want to look at IT spending. I can select IT here, and it will retrieve the expenses for the IT department, and it will update the pie chart accordingly. Everything works just like Excel because it is Excel powered by the Velixo engine.
So Gabriel, one of the major things that we're getting several questions here, but one of the major ones is that does it work with job cost data? Since all we do here is construction, can you possibly pivot over to that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. It definitely works with construction. Before I go there, I just wanted to highlight the drill down capability. This is part of my demo, and then I will actually use the different concepts that we saw and move on to the construction piece. Drill down is actually quite important, and actually, yeah, we'll see it with a construction report. But what I wanted to mention is that all the functions, all the data that you see can be audited using the drill down function that we have in the Velixo toolbar. Using drill down, you can click on, let's say, total expenses here, hit drill down, and drill down will analyze everything that is included. So that could be like just a financial P&L. It could be a job cost report like the one I'm going to show you next. But this is something that helps you a lot. One of the main pain points of manual spreadsheets is how hard it is to reconcile them with your ERP system. And here, thanks to the Velixo drill down feature, you can see everything that's included. And then for any account, you can look at transactions. And when you have the transactions, you can actually drill down to the actual batch or entry in your Sage Intacct system. So I clicked on an expense here, and you'll see that if you have any attachment, well, you can open the attachment in Sage Intacct and actually confirm that the data you have matches what you see in the spreadsheet or matches what you have in the job. So I will show you the same demo with construction as well, but it's definitely something that is critical and important to mention. Drill down is a key piece of Velixo that works hand in hand with all the functionality that we have in the solution. Okay, so as you can see here, we can build workbooks that analyze data across all the different dimensions that we have in Sage Intacct, and you can absolutely do the same thing with construction. And actually, it uses the exact same formulas, exact same concepts that I have been highlighting in the first part of my presentation. So what I just opened now is a job cost or project details report that looks at a specific project and breaks down the information by cost code. So here we're looking at this project here, Quick Bowls, Portland. We have a bunch of cost codes, and for each cost code, we're displaying the budgeted cost, the actual cost, commitments, my estimate to complete or forecast, as well as my hours, also coming from my project estimates. And this works exactly the same way that you saw with the project estimate, not a project estimate with the simple account balances report. We just have more columns looking at more data in the Sage Intacct system. So right here, if I want to switch to, let's say, the Vancouver project, I can select it, and Velixo will retrieve all the cost code. There's actually just one here. Let's look at 5 Oaks. We have a bit more, and system is retrieving the data. Here we go. So everything is live. Everything has been retrieved from your Sage Intacct system. And again, you also have the ability to drill down. So if I want to understand why, let's take a line here. Yeah, everything is pretty much below budget or at budget. I wanted to find something that is higher than budget, but let's take this one here, concrete subs. I will go to Velixo, hit drill down will analyze this number here, and within a few seconds I will see my drill down tab. It's still processing. Here we go. So in the drill down tab, we see the breakdown. In my case, there's only one line because it was just one account in one cost code. But again, you see the same value, and using view transactions, you can retrieve the actual transaction for Sage Intacct, and then make your way back to the Sage Intacct records or entries for that particular transaction. So give it a second, it's almost there.
And Gabriel, while you're doing that, one of the other questions that came in was, could you pull like a committed cost per cost code in there?
Committed cost per cost code, absolutely. Actually, it is there in the project details. So yeah, that's my drill down view. You can see we have two subcontractor invoice. You have the balance here of each, and I can click view batch, and view batch will take me to Sage Intacct. Here we go. That same batch we saw from Sage Intacct from the drill down view, so it gets us there. Yeah, question about commitments for a specific cost code. Are you talking about like the viewing total commitments?
I'm gonna refer to the person who asked that on the webinar. If that answered your question, great. If you want to elaborate more, I'm happy to ask that in the future. So
yeah, let me try to find one with commitments here. Commitments are displayed in column F, open POs. Yeah, so we do have commitments in this example here. Commitments can be retrieved like two different ways. We can either like get them from a custom book. This is what I'm doing here. So we're using the same financial function. This one is filtered on a specific cost code. Okay, so you can see the cost code and you can see the commitments. And column G here is actual plus committed. Okay, it's as simple as what I just explained. So it's column E plus F, actuals plus open POs. So that gives you actual and committed. If you want to get the actual commitment list, the actual list of let's say purchase orders, that's also something that you can do using Velixo. And let's build together a very simple example of how you do that. Okay, so just to recap a little bit, so far we looked at setting up a connection using Connection Manager, creating basic account balance report. We looked at the drill down function. We looked at this construction example, and now I would like to show you how you can retrieve data from any entity in Sage Intacct. For example, let's go to purchase orders, purchasing here. Let's find purchase order. So let's say I want to retrieve this purchase order, okay, and have it displayed in my Velixo workbook. Velixo has a function called si.query, Sage Intacct query, and using si.query, you can retrieve data from any Sage Intacct object and have that placed anywhere in your spreadsheet. So the object that I need in my case, I believe, is PO order, okay, and where you can actually figure out the object name is in Intacct by clicking object definition. I didn't get it right. It's PO document. I'm sorry, this is what you need here. PO document. PO document. So you just type that. Eventually, we might have like a drop down where you can select from a list, but for now, as long as you have the name, you can type it, and it will load every PO document matching your filter and every column as well. So that's obviously a lot of information. In most cases, you will not want to have everything that is listed here. So what you can do is refine the list of documents. Just have a few columns. So vendor doc no. Let's have what else? Let's find amount somewhere. There's a lot of data, as you can see. Yeah, let's get total. Here we go. Okay, so you can limit the list of columns that are returned, and you can also apply filters. Okay, so if you only want commitments for a specific project, you could filter there just to get commitments. If you only want to have documents that are pending, closed, you could do that. Okay, so let me give you an example here. We'll do state equal closed. You can do that as well. And you can have as many queries as you want in the workbook. Okay, so using these queries, you could get a list of commitments. You could add the hyperlink as well if you wanted to. That's That's another way you could achieve that. Using that query function, you could retrieve AP bills, AR, do some sort of aging report as well as part of your reporting package. It's a very, very flexible system. Stuart, you have any additional questions?
No, everyone said that you've answered them along the way. So great job.
Fantastic, thank you. So within that same workbook, I do have a few additional examples. This one is a project summary report. This one, instead of going down to the cost code level, instead lists multiple projects from the same sheet, filtered by project manager. I could have made the same report filtered by project type, filtered by any user-defined field that you have in Sage Intacct. Everything is possible. In my case, I opted to have this project summary by PM. So by simply selecting a different PM, I see a different set of projects. And for each project, same thing, budgets, actuals, hours. And we added here this KPI. This is a simple formula. If we're spending more, you'll see something in red. Looks like all the projects in Sage Intacct are very well managed. They're all in good status. But let's say that we go to Intacct and enter $1 million expense, you will see that it will change the results dramatically in this workbook. I have one more example on the construction side here. Let me look that work in progress report. Here we go. Here's a work in progress report. Again, you get the full flexibility of Excel. So if you want to have a list of all your projects with costs, contract values, and a bunch of formulas, you can do that. Maybe you want to look at cost by account group. So I've done that and I've set up an account group. So Excel has this very neat data group. So you can have summary view, detail view by simply opening and closing. And really all there is the same closing balance function that we saw earlier. Let's take a look once again. So I'm looking at the account group material cost. So that's my Sage Intacct account group, same account group name that I have in Intacct. Could have an account code instead. Start, end date, my end date, my book. So that's a default accrual book. And then I'm filtering on dimensions, just filtered on the project. If I add a filter by cost code or task, this is where I would add it as well. So here's another different layout, another WIP report. This one goes down to the cost code level. Again, all is possible. This is Excel. You can create pixel perfect reports that contain the very specific value that you need in a very specific location using the simple functions that we have. Stuart, I'm ready to move to the write back section of this presentation. But again, I want to make sure that we've covered everything on the reporting side. So if you have any additional requests.
Nope, I think we're good. I think we hit the right back, and then we'll call it a webinar. So I think we're good.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so write back is the next section that I will be covering today. It's actually pretty important and strategic. It's something that most of our customers used at some point with Velixo and their ERP system. And let me give you some examples of what write back does. So quite often you will be exporting data to Excel and then using the data that you exported to build a model. Maybe you want to calculate your profitability, check your progress on the project, and make an estimate or forecast on what needs to be done to complete this project. What are you missing in this budget? How much you should raise your prices? So all these decisions that you can make with the data will ultimately need to be pushed back into your ERP system. So in Sage Intacct, for example, you do have the ability to create a budget in the budget repository. If you're working with the project system, well, you might want to create a new project estimate. So these are all things that you can do in Intacct, but with the Velixo writeback, we give you the ability to do this without even leaving Excel. So we do have this perform writeback button here that lets you push data back to Intacct into very, very specific scenarios. So today we support 3 writeback scenarios with Sage Intacct. The first one is for journal transactions. So here, GL journal entries. The second one for budgets, so the budget repository here. And the last one for project estimates. And over the next few months, few releases of Velixo, we will also be adding additional writeback functions to cover the needs of our clients. Velixo is updated once a month or so, and as a Velixo user, you will be receiving all these enhancements. So let's start with a budgeting example. So this one is budgeting at the organization level, but as you know, Sage Intacct has this dimensional concept, so you could also create a budget at the project level as well. In my case, there's no dimension filtering, but you could very much do that with the tool if you wanted to. And Stuart, like next time we do this webinar, I will work on a budget or a project-focused budget example just to highlight that. So in this case, let's say that you're looking at your revenue and expenses from last year. So this is what you have here in column D, and you want to set up your budget for the next 12 months or the next financial year. Well, you could use this data to simply apply a simple percentage increase. So this is what I'm doing right now. I'm setting percentages, and using my Excel model, I'm calculating my budget for all the financial periods. So this is where the writeback function comes in. I can take this new budget and I can write it back to Intacct using the perform writeback button. You can see right now it's going to write back to my master budget 2020 Rev 9. I will click perform writeback, and it will push this information back into Sage Intacct. It's in the status panel that it is writing back. Almost done. Here we go, line uploaded. So now if I go to Sage Intacct and go to the budget repository, actually this is a different company. Nope. General ledger, budget. We have Rev 9 here, budget details. So let's look at the first account here. Okay, so for the month of December, you can see 308,490, 308,490. So the information that I have in my spreadsheet was pushed back to Sage Intacct thanks to the writeback budget function that we have, and that lets you write data back to a Sage Intacct budget. Okay, so I'm doing it at the account level, but you could also do it for a given project. That is something that is definitely possible using Sage Intacct, or account level or cost code level, absolutely up to you. We have project estimates writeback, and here I don't have it hooked up here in this project detail report, but you could use this project detail report and create a revised forecast, okay, that you can then write back to a new project estimate in Sage Intacct. So again, thanks to the writeback function that we have in Velixo, this would take your forecast here and create a new project forecast in Sage Intacct. So in the project estimate in the project section of Sage Intacct. And the final writeback scenario that we support today with Sage Intacct is the ability to create journal transactions. And this is very, very helpful if you have any type of allocation entry, accrual entry, prepaid expenses, payroll journals, anything that you need to import and that might rely on spreadsheets or Excel calculations. What you see here is an actual example that one of our clients built. They need to allocate or enter an accrual entry for insurance. It's based on the revenue. So if they want to do it, let's say for December, they change the date. It looks at the revenue by location. They have like 60 locations, so it's a much bigger thing to do if it's done manually. But yeah, they just change the rates. If the rates change, Excel calculates the amount, and then thanks to the write back button in Velixo, they can just click perform write back. Let's wait, it's still finishing to calculate. Here we go. They click perform write back, and perform write back will take the values that they have here and generate a journal entry. So you could do the same thing for projects if you need to do something with over billings, under billings, using write back, you could do it. And yeah, that shows you the resulting transaction, fully audited. So I'm Gabriel. I logged in using my Gabriel username. Gabriel has access to the GL. You can see the date and time. So that's, again, another example of our integration with Intacct. Everything is secure. If you have users that only have access to project reporting, they would not be able to do more than look at project reports. This always works with your Sage Intacct permissions when you're doing the write back. Any questions, Stuart? Any feedback?
Nope, I think everyone, I've been able to answer a lot of the questions behind the scenes. So I think you great job doing this presentation today. I think what you'll see, guys, is that this is, for those who are just, for example, generic financial statements, this is a great way of getting information out. If you think Excel is the best reporting tool for projects, committed cost reports, stuff like that, we've been working with them on the project screens there. So as you can see, some amazing information. If you have, under 100 projects, this is a great tool that you can just pull one by one up and have it all right there. So it provides you that value. And again, the write back, bringing your budgets back into Sage. Again, a lot of people are like, how do I do that upload? This makes it even easier and gives you in a lot better format. So thank you guys for doing this demo for us today, for our team and for all of our clients. I really appreciate it.
Perfect. Well, thank you for having us today. Very excited to showcase Velixo to the entire base here, and feel free to reach out to Stu or to our team if you all have any other questions.
Perfect. Thank you. If there's any other questions, I'll remain on the line. Otherwise, have a great day, everyone. And if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out. Have a good one and appreciate everyone's time today.